What's up, y'all? Mark Breland finally speaks. He finally speaks. Saw him being interviewed on a YouTube page called Stamina for Sale. Spencer Fearon was on there interviewing him. Not sure the other guy. And you can just tell right away if you've never heard Mark Breland speak. I've heard him, speak for years. I saw him fight, when he was I didn't see him fight as an amateur, but I saw him fight as a pro. And you can always tell he speaks his mind, but he's humble at the same time. And you could tell it took a lot for him to even speak on the situation. He really didn't want to discuss it, I guess, because he considered himself a friend to Deontay Wilder. But he eventually came out and just said, he's done. His career's done. He said, I'm done with him or something to that effect. And he said he can't beat Tyson Fury. They talked about him spiking the Wilder, I guess. Said he was talking about the accusations that he spiked the water. He said, if you look, I wasn't even the one giving him the water. But of course, the Wilder fanboys will say, well, that doesn't mean you didn't spike it before the fight just because you didn't give it to him during the fight. Stop. I mean, do we got to play Sade's song, King of Sorrow? This month will be a year since the fight. It was on the 22nd of this month. It'll be a year. And I watched Wilder's response to his former trainer, Mark Breland, and he said something about he had proof. And I'm thinking, well, we're almost a year in and we still haven't seen this proof. And then he says later on, well, you don't always have to have proof. It's just you can tell, you can feel things. And I'm like, well, which is it? Do you have proof or don't you have proof? Because how are you going to try to destroy somebody's career off of a feeling you had? Feelings can be deceptive. Like he felt he should wear that mask going into the ring. That was a deceptive feeling. He shouldn't have been wearing it. You look crazy. And he's just sitting there bad-mouthing Mark Breland, talking about, I fed him and this and that. Well, newsflash, he helped feed you too because he trained you. If he hadn't trained you, even though you didn't really listen much to what he was saying from what I hear and from what I saw, he helped feed you by getting you wins. So you, like Mark Breland was saying, you win, I win. So, Wilder just sounds, every time I listen to him, he sounds like he's trying to, he likes to say his little montage about speak it, believe it, and all that stuff. It sounds like he's trying to convince himself, like the more he talks, the more he's going to believe it. It just sounds like he's like circling the drain. And I really believe Breland when he said he's done. And what he means is, I believe he meant at the top level. He might come back and win some little fights, but he said he can't beat Fury. He said he didn't train, meaning I guess he didn't do the typical training. But, I've seen him train, but he does mainly, like lifting weights and swimming. Doesn't like to do road work, I hear, or jump rope. But, the old school fighters and trainers don't really like that stuff. But he trained, but I guess he didn't like the way he was training. And he said something about the guys that Deontay beat, something like he could have beaten them. And he even had some harsh words about Joshua, saying that Joshua didn't know how to jab and he could beat Joshua. I was like, oh, wow. I was riding with you, Mark, till you said that. But that was way out in left field, what he was saying about AJ. And you can see Joshua's jabs improved if you go watch the Pulev fight. You go back and watch his fight with the second fight with Andy Ruiz Jr. You can see he's got a jab. He's got movement now. And I don't know, but he was speaking his mind. He didn't speak it I didn't see him speaking it from a place of hate. He's entitled to his opinion. If he doesn't think Joshua could jab, that's his opinion. He's entitled to it, but he's not saying it in a hateful manner. So don't hate the man for speaking his opinion. I got my opinion. You got your opinion. But Wilder fanboys still coming with the accusations, and we're almost a year in. It's like, oh, and then the guy interviewing Wilder I'm not going to even shout out his channel. Why give him publicity? But he was talking about, there's a documentary that came out showing corruption in this tied to MTK Global and Tyson Fury. Like, man, would you stop? Like I said, must we play Sade, King of Sorrow? Because that's what Deontay Wilder sounds like. He's the king of sorrow, since he wants to keep talking about he's the king of this and king of that. Sound like you the king of sorrow, homie. On the real deal. Wilder fanboys, king of sorrow. You might want to go check that video out. I'm just like, man, if this dude doesn't stop accusing this man. And Breland, like I said, you could tell he really didn't want to speak on the situation, but the interviewer, I'm not sure the other guy's name, that was with Spencer Farron, he was trying to get it out of him, like, man, defend yourself, and we want to hear what you got to say. And I guess he finally couldn't take it and just said, he was like, he talked about his training, his lack of training, talked about, I believe, him not listening to what he had to say, said he's done, said he can't beat Tyson Fury, and hopping back to what Wilder said in response, he said that Mark Breland was jealous of him. I'm like, jealous of what? Check out his resume, man. 5-time Golden Gloves champ, welterweight champion twice or something like that. What's he got to be jealous of? He's got his own, credentials. You got yours. Of all the guys you can accuse of dirty tactics in boxing, I wouldn't think Mark Breland would be the guy you choose. He doesn't have a shady bone in his body from what I can see. It's just the blame game. And once you start down that path, it's a dark path. But I just kind of wonder how long this is going to continue. Are we going to still be talking about this time next year? Are we still going to be talking about these accusations or new accusations and Glovegate 2.0, 3.0, 4.0? We going to blame the whole state that the fight was in. We going to blame people that weren't even in the building. We're going to blame Larry Merchant and Jim Lampley. They weren't in the building, but, they're announcers, so they probably had something to do with it. I don't have any evidence, but why not? Let's just throw everybody's name in there. It was, I was shaking my head through the whole Deontay Wilder interview. I'm like, man, this dude just won't stop. And he's laughing and trying to make light of it. And he was talking about he's a private guy, and maybe it's because Mark Breland wanted to talk to him, and he's like, and I'm not like that. I keep to myself, and maybe that's what it was. So you're saying because he couldn't hold a conversation with you, he'd go to the extent to spike your water and mess up his career and mess up yours, when that's how he's making money and that's how you're making money? Because he couldn't get you on the phone, he's going to damage everybody's career in the process. And all these folks out there, with this pro-black stuff, to this day and all that. Well, how come nobody's talking about the fact that he fired Mark Breland and kept JD's when JD's was actually watching Tyson Fury get his hands wrapped? And that's what Mark Breland was talking about. He's like, well, you can see right there he doesn't know boxing because JD's is the one getting his hands wrapped. So how does this pro-black dude fire the black dude to keep on the white guy? I'm not into the whole race thing, but since you guys want to take it there, let's take it there. How'd that happen? Answer that. Can't hear you. What? Yeah, that's what I thought. Crickets. Anyway, you guys might want to check it out. Mark Breland didn't agree with the Joshua comments. And I know a lot of the UK fans was riding with him too. They was like, yeah, tell it, Mark, tell it. Then when he got on AJ, it's like, whoa, Wait, just lost your mark. But like I said, he's entitled to his own opinion. You know, I didn't agree with that, but he was actually in the camp with Deontay Wilder, so you got to believe what he's saying about that. And he's just now speaking. Almost a year and he's just now speaking. It's like maybe he wanted to give it time to subside or see what came out in the long run, you know. But this is going to get interesting. Hopefully, JD's will start giving some interviews, like when he was picking up that weird substance in the baggie during the fight. You know, he's grabbing something and put it away, and people were talking about it was cocaine or something. I don't know. This story got legs. It's, you know, it's walking on its own. It's creating its own hype. But like I've always said, if you believe a guy was in there cheating to that extent, you know, putting the egg weight in his glove in egg weight form. If you believe he put something in his glove that was trying to really take you out, why would you want to fight a guy like that again? You want him to finish the job next time? If you believe that's the case, then stay away from that dude and take him to court. That's some gangster stuff right there, trying to take you out in the ring. If you believe that, take it to court because, you know, what you feel in the next fight, all eyes will be on him and he can't cheat. Well, if everybody was in on it this last fight, why won't they be in on it for a third fight? And then he said something about Breland was acting weird and standoffish. And I thought, wait a minute. I'm thinking, wait a minute. You just said he was the guy trying to reach you and you weren't available. Then you turn around and talk about he was standoffish. So which is it? Were you trying to reach him, getting a cold shoulder, or was he trying to reach you? I'm getting a lot of different stories. See, the more you talk, the more you expose you really don't know what you're talking about, and you're circling the drain, man. Yeah, I said it. You're circling the drain. And he said he was, he thought Mark Breland did something the first fight. So if you thought Breland was doing shady stuff for the first fight, why would you bring him back for a second fight? If I think you're trying to cheat and make me lose in the first fight, there's no way I'm bringing you back for a second fight. Because if you didn't get your goal accomplished in the first fight, chances are if I keep you around, you're going to get it accomplished in the second fight. So, I don't know. It's like instead of training, he's just sitting around thinking about how many people he can blame, and instead of just saying, hey, man, I lost. I'm coming back. Check me out. That's all you got to say. You know? And I know the Wilder fanboys gonna just come in swarms, you know, oh, this and that. You know, they'll probably start calling names because that's about all they got at this point, you know. But, you know, like I said, ain't nobody scared of these dudes. You know, they can come see me in person. They can do whatever they want to do. Anyway, this is the J. Roos Theory. Put a fist to the like button. Comment, share, subscribe, and be fearless. Yay, yay.